Oye, bleterlowda, inyalowda. It's the voice of the whirlwind here, broadcasting straight to your news feeds. And we're back with episode 8, Hard Vacuum, of season 5 of this little itty bitty sci-fi show that seems to be picking up some steam, you know. It's starting to gain some popularity, apparently. Which, you know, is, it's great. It is great. It deserves it. It definitely deserves it. But just remember, folks, you can never, ever like it as much as me, because I liked it first. So episode 8 kicks off with an Amos and Peaches scene. It's the Amos and Peaches show. They have taken the dirt bikes and are driving cross-country towards Baltimore. The area they're in basically looks like Hjalmark from Skyrim, you know, the marshy Morthal area. We can see a fair few tyre tracks too, and given the size of said tracks, means some trucks have been through, you know, aid relief trucks I imagine. Not important whatsoever. As they ride along a paved road, Peaches looks to the sky to see a ship taking off into space. This will spark a memory and an idea for later. Cut to a very interestingly graphic shot of Amos and Peaches having a piss break by a broken building, and Nadine Nicole just shot to the top of my water sports fantasies. I'm joking, of course, she was always at the top. But seriously, without meaning to spend any more time talking about it than I'd like, if you weren't aware this is a show for adults, you should definitely be aware by now, you know. You can see Peach's arse and her piss stream, and you know what, I missed a pun there. Strike that, reverse it. You can see Peach's peach and her stream of Granny's tea, and Amos holding his dick and pissing too. It's very graphic, very grounded. Reminds me of old school Game of Thrones before it lost its rawness and became tame as shit. Oh, I mean, honestly, do you remember when Littlefinger wiped fucking cum off a whore's face before she started straight macking an ex-client? You know, skip ahead a few years, and apparently everyone in Westeros just suddenly, subconsciously agreed to swap the word cunt for pussy. Sorry, ignore that tangent. I'm still suffering PTSD from that shit show. Anyway, so they're pissing, right? And Peaches asks how much further, and Amos estimates about 40 clicks, a click being a kilometre. He lets her know that they can slow down if she still isn't feeling well, but Clarissa is feeling much better as the blocker meds have finally been flushed out of her body, and she is noticeably more herself this episode. You know, she's cognizant and sharp and focused. Her appetite and taste have returned. And this week I learned the word anosmia, which is word of the week, anosmia, which is the loss of sense of smell. As they chat by a tree, Peaches enjoying her protein bar from the rations they killed for, which Amos remarks in the book that they taste like crap. We can see how happy Amos is to see Clarissa returning to herself. So both in book and show, Amos and Clarissa spent months together on the Rocinante, working in the machine shop on their return to Earth post-Slow Zone incident. As for the show, though, we can see Amos's character growth through this relationship, since in season 3, if you remember, he wanted to put her down. Straight up just fucking execute her, you know, claiming to have known people like her and that it's the best option. He's certainly changed his mind. I hope he knows that. Peaches spots something and moves for it. It's a blanket, indicating people have been here before. Then a gust of wind picks up and she can smell the death in the air. They find some bodies hidden under a tarp outside the building, and they assume it must have been an old people's home since all the bodies are elderly. Peaches hopes that their deaths were an act of kindness, and Amos says maybe it was. And I'm not sure. It's you know, it seems that they're I've lost my fucking word now. Where am I? I'm not sure, but it seems like Amos and her meaning of what the act of kindness was, you know, weren't quite the same. They discuss what they're going to do next when they get to Baltimore, and Amos doesn't have a proper answer, you know, just a gut instinct that it's the safest place for them to go. Peaches wonders if the whole world is like this now, and if so, they need to get the fuck out of Dodge. She tells him about the suborbital ship she saw earlier, and that she might know where they can find one themselves. Although they will need some help getting there, and Amos knows exactly who can help. Oh yeah. Nice opening scene. Seeing Clarissa become herself again and her and Amos grow closer, you know, as friends, only as friends, is really rewarding. And it also gave us a further sense of dread for the future of Earth. After the Easter egg-ridden opening credits, we open on the Pella cruising through the vacuum. Sin's body has been recovered and laid down. Well, I say recovered, but I'm pretty sure they're still in the same airlock. Marco squats over the lifeless body of his old friend, his Bratna, who was there by his side for most of his life. Marco eulogizes that Sin was there at the beginning and robbed of seeing the end. These are the kind of show exclusive scenes I've mentioned before that really elevate the already awesome story and deepen characters we don't get to see all the sides of due to the third person POV format of the books. Marco looks away from Sin to his son Philip standing there. He asks Philip if he saw what happened, who responds that he did. He tells his father that Sin tried to stop Naomi from going out, but Marco interrupts and demands Philip tell him how his mother died, making him relive the experience. Philip only saw her at the edge, jump off and disappear. Like in the book, he believes she committed suicide, but she didn't have to kill Sin too. Not like Sin gave her much choice, to be honest. Marco, in a disgusting act of parenthood, tells Philip that Naomi did not kill Sin, but Philip did, and then fucks him off. So get the fuck out of here. On the Chetsamoka, Naomi wakes up. As I said last week, she be looking all fucked up. Her hands are swollen, her eyes are bloody ruin. She wakes up gasping for air and throws up. She is crying in pain. And while I tend to go, I literally do go scene by scene in these, episode breakdowns, I will just say that on the whole, for this episode, well, really the whole season, really, Dom Tipper has been amazing. It's definitely her best of the show yet. In this episode, she basically had to go full Revenant, and I felt every shot of pain and agony Naomi was suffering. So she struggles onto the bridge and tries to see what on the ship is working. Of course, the Free Navy have pretty much stripped it down to its bare components and minimal functions. Naomi looks around the room to see explosive charges hooked up to each other all around the bridge. Fuck, 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 she says. She doesn't have much time. She knows that Chetsamoka somehow is going to lure the Rocinante toward it, and she can't do anything to stop it. Yet. She may have lived, but in trying to save her real family, she has put her life in her own hands. If she can't find a way to contact or warn anyone that the ship is rigged to blow, she will die with them. She hears a faint voice coming from somewhere in the ship. She searches for it and finds the source in a leftover vac suit, and we get the message that will be imprinted in our brains forever until we, forget it next week or so. Now say it with me, guys. This is Naomi Nagata of the Rocinante. If you get this message, please retransmit. Tell James Holden I am in distress. Com is not responding. I have no nav control. Please retransmit. And like and subscribe while you're at it. Next, we get a very quick Holden scene. So, the Rocinante glides about the wreckage of the Zomea, looking for any signs of proto-molecule. On the bridge, Bull rightly asks Holden if the proto-molecule can even be killed by a reactor explosion. Holden points out that it's done the job before a couple times. Monica wants to know if the Zomea was able to get any transmissions out before it was destroyed, and Bull informs her that their scopes and sensors were on them from the second they turned on their drive. Monica presents the idea that they were able to hand the sample off to another ship before they were spotted. Bull is doubtful, since they were on the original flight path when they lit up and no ship rendezvousing with them was detected along that course. Holden reminds them of the Type Beam backscatter they picked up and theorises that it was probably a communication with Marco, or a Marco. I tried to make a wordplay there, don't think that worked. And Marco gave them orders to destroy the sample and not to be captured. Bull looks on the bright side and says, well, they finished the job for him. We all know it ain't gonna be that easy. It's the fucking Expanse, man. Holden checks with Laveau for any messages from Alex and Bobby, which none have been received. Bull remarks that they have them searching for a pebble in an ocean, so Holden plots a course to the Razorback in order to aid them. Holden leaves and Bull and Monica talk for a moment. Monica implies that losing Naomi isn't an option for Jim, but Bull doesn't want to go on a suicide mission just to save her. This could be setting up some possible discourse within the crew, or merely just some simple characterization. In the vacuum, Drummer and her family are scavenging the remains of a ship's carcass. While her family started off the season tight like a tiger, tensions have risen through the current circumstances, and that they are now at each other's throats. They are all crammed into the airlock as they bring in what they could find, and Joseph is the last to enter, and as he does, he knocks something over. Simple mistake. But then Berthold immediately scolds him, but Joseph is like, fuck you, dude, clamp your tools. Oksana breaks them up. I think it's fair to say that Oksana has been, maybe not quite like the moral compass / heart of the crew this season, but definitely a mediator. That's the word I'm looking for. Definitely a mediator. Michio points out that the dead crew they are scavenging look like a faction, and Drummer confirms her suspicion. The dead ship belonged to Mata Kublier. Shit, how did they say that again? Mata Kublier. Kubliayo, a faction that voted death for Marco in the tribunal last season. The implication, of course, being Marco killed them out of revenge. Michio, who has the gentlest heart of the crew, calls out Berthold's apathetic attitude. He tells her nothing has changed. They have just done the same thing they were doing before joining the Free Navy, salvaging ships. Drummer pops in that they aren't salvagers, but scavengers. Marco kills those who defy him, and they pick the bodies clean. Nobody says anything, and they leave uneasy. On the bridge, Carol enters while listening to a message on her terminal from the Serio Mal that claims that the Martian ships/weapons are performing excellently. She seemingly taps out a reply before she looks over to the captain's chair. She slowly takes a seat in it and is absolutely fucking loving it. She loves that chair. Oksana comes in and they talk. Carol asks if any missiles were found, and Oksana reckons they used them all in battle. Carol calls out Matar... Ah, shit, I knew I should have fucking memorised this pronunciation. Matar Kubliaya for always spending more on whiskey than weapons. Oksana asks why Marco attacked them, and Carol corrects her that we attacked them. Carol is just constantly pushing people's buttons and, exercising the Free Navy's control. Prick. She informs Oksana that Matar Kubliaya attacked them. After having declined Marco's invitation and leaving peacefully, they hijacked 2 skiffs out of series loyal to the Free Navy, those bastards. So Marco destroyed them in a display of loyalty and protection to those loyal to him. She tells her Marco wants constant updates on the scavenging, with priority being ordnance and food. Now the actor playing Carol continues to impress me with just how much of a cunt she can truly be. A very impressive cunt portrayal. In Lowell City on Luna, David Pastor makes his first speech after being risen to the role of SecGen, and he does a pretty good job, in all fairness. He pays respects to the losses suffered by the citizens of Earth and Luna. He is honest and to the point, admitting he was thrust into the position, but promises to do his best with the eternal support of his cabinet. I told you that guy is going to do his best. He points out that Christian and Delgado played a massive part in helping save Earth from more rocks, and the crowd applauds them, like so. And he tells his citizens that he just authorised the biggest manhunt in human history, promising to not stop until they have brought Marco and Arros to justice. Some of the crowd randomly shout out hails of agreement, the classic, "You can do it!" And this boosts Pastor's confidence, and he gets really into his speech, clearly believing what he is saying. He ends the speech on a high note and leaves with Delgado and Christian at his side, and he admits that it felt good. And Avasarala says he showed he is in control of the situation. Whether they believed him or not, he is what the people of Earth need right now, a leader to stand up for them. Enter Batman quote here. Cut to an almost identical shot of Baltimore that we first saw earlier in the season. The intention, of course, being to show the difference from the aftermath. But honestly, all I could think of when I saw that is the joke in Scary Movie 4 when Brenda's like, "Here's Detroit, and here's Detroit after the attack," and it's just the same footage with aliens walking around. Fucking genius. Anyway, there's debris everywhere. All the windows on the buildings have been busted out, and the holographic advertisements are no more. At Eric's place, Hutch, whose name I had to IMDb, Hutch escorts Amos and Peaches to the roof. As they pass through the stairs, Eric's crew are storing all of their supplies, stocking up for winter. Amos takes a longing look at his favourite tequila before being pushed on. They find Eric on the roof looking out at the desolation of his home. Amos still has his shotgun slung around his shoulder, so I imagine how that went down was, he told Hutch or whoever let him in that he's not going to give the gun over, but you can just point a gun at him, as long as you like, and he won't do anything. That's just the Amos way. Eric turns to them and compliments the size of Amos's balls. Who else could survive an asteroid attack and then walk into a more dangerous situation? Amos says he assumed the rules had changed given the circumstances. He introduces Peaches, and Eric just assumes he's trying to white knight rescue some random prostitute, but he doesn't really care about what the situation is because he can't help them either way. And that's when Amos reveals that he is there to help him. Clarissa tells him about Oh, I'm gonna fucking butcher this pronunciation now, aren't I? Winnipesaukee. That's what she said. That's what I'm saying. She said Winnipesaukee Island in New Hampshire. They are private enclaves for rich people, vacation houses that are mostly empty, and most importantly, each house has a hangar with a suborbital shuttle that can take them to Luna. When asked how she knows this, she admits that she is Jules Pierre Mal's daughter. Eric is surprised by this, because of course, why wouldn't he be? But he doesn't seem to give a fuck. What he does care about, though, is what's in it for him. He doesn't want to leave. So Amos and Peaches need to convince them that it's for the best. Amos points out that Baltimore was a shithole before the disaster, and it's only going to get worse from here. Eric is under the impression that this is just a churn again, that he and his will be fine as long as they can hold out. They'll hold out as long as they have to. After having carved out a name for himself and having lived a life entirely in Baltimore, he doesn't want to give it up. Give it all up now, which I think is fairly understandable. He calls Amos Timmy, because that's his real name, and Clarissa notices, but we'll get to that probably next episode, I imagine. Amos isn't able to get through, so Peaches has a go. She relates that she knows what it's like to lose everything. Eric assumes she is just some rich princess, but she tells him a story about a fellow inmate who killed all 5 of her children, fucked up, but continued to talk about them as if they were still alive. Clarissa assumed she was crazy, but one day the inmate came up to her and said, I know they're dead, but I know I'm dead too. You're the only bitch who thinks she's still alive. It was at this point that Peaches realised that the person she was is dead. The message, I assume, being that you have to accept that the past is the past and move forward in some weird, fucked up way of reaching that point. This resonates with Eric anyway, and it seems to convince him. He tells them that he came to watch after the rocks hit and saw whole neighbourhoods he used to run and grown up with swallowed by the sea. Peaches hits the final nail on the head by assuring him that starting over isn't always bad. In silence, Eric agrees to join them, and the scene ends with a cute little Amos moment when he asks if they can bring a case of his favourite tequila. Very cute. Back on Luna, David Pastor, Christian Avasarala, and Felix Delgado arrive in the sit room to applause. Pastor seems to be asking the questions he feels he should ask rather than, what he actually wants to. He asks for an update on the Anaro situation. The info they have points towards Marco's fleet heading towards the outer planets, dispersing as they go. Despite the Jupiter and Saturn fleets analysing the ship profiles supplied by Avasarala, they have no idea where Marco himself is. The Martians have no information of substance yet either. Christian rightly points out that they can't rely on the Martians anyway, since their intelligence has clearly been compromised. Pastor floats the idea that Marco's next objective might be to destroy the ring gate and asks to know how vulnerable it is, given that they are pulling their fleets back. Delgado informs him that there is still 2 Nathan Hale class battleships and an MRCN, that's not right, MCRN Donager class ship protecting it, and they should have enough firepower to defend against Marco's fleet. Nathan Hale class is named after the American hero Nathan Hale, not the protagonist from the Resistance games. Underrated games they were, the second in particular was fantastic. Christian brings up Medina Station, who are on heightened alert but still quiet. Medina is of course critical to the economic fortune of the belt, and their offensive capabilities are, limited is the word used. Shit is the word I would use. If they were to attack, it would be destroyed with ease. Pastor points out that it seems that they are waiting for Inaros to make his next move rather than making their first one. Ooh, he's eager, this Pastor, isn't he? He thinks Earthers need to see that the UN is applying pressure to the belt and asks how they can flush him out. Delgado answers with violence. He has put together response strike packages and believes Hygeia and Ipetus Station are good targets, since belters there have been known to be more radically inclined than most, but illustrates that Pallas Station is where they should focus. Not only is Pallas a strategic location due to the fuel refinery, but Marco also has roots there. There are about 9 to 13,000 belters on Pallas, and Dehane, not sure how to say it. Dehane, one of the women in the sit room, rightly asks how many of them are actually loyal to Inaros. Classic Expanse moral conundrum. The table seems to be separated by the pacifists and aggressors. The aggressive advisors think that killing innocent belters is justified by Marco's actions. Christian has been pretty silent during this whole discussion and is brought into the conversation by Felix, who brings up Deimos Station, which is the moon/military base that the UN destroyed in, I want to say, season 2. I'm pretty sure season 2 of the Expanse. But of course, he's hoping to be backed up by Badass Arala, but she doesn't back him up because she identifies that Deimos was a military base, whereas Pallas is not, so the circumstances are different. Her and Felix have a little back and forth. Christian reveals that if they start murdering innocent belters, then they will radicalize every belter who is not an Inaros loyalist. Cordner, again, a name out to IMDb, says they are already are fighting the whole belt. Guys like this asshole are just the worst, aren't they? Just the worst. As fucking well, we can nuke them, sir. They're different from me. Just blow them up. Just twats, man. There's too much conflict in the room, so Pastor tables the discussion for now. He asks about the current state of relief efforts, and the scene ends with Christian and Delgado exchanging concerned looks. Next is another Naomi scene. All her scenes this episode were essentially just visual storytelling. If you couldn't figure out what she was doing while she was doing it, you will have by the end. She has to figure out a way to alter her situation before her friends arrive and they all die. She tries to scrounge whatever tools she can find. She manages to find a torch, and then she sees a tool underneath the grating, but her hands are absolutely fucked, so she has to create a kind of pulley. I believe it's called a pulley system where she can lift it up. This tool enables her to finally start opening up pallet. I was just thinking, actually, she couldn't use her hands to pull the thing. Why don't she just wrap it around her leg or her body and just walk away? I don't know. I'm doing some Cinema Sins fucking nitpicking there. Don't want that mindset, so let's strike that, reverse it. So she finds a torch and then sees a tool underneath the grating, but her hands are absolutely fucked, and she has to create a kind of pulley where she can lift it up. This tool enables her to finally start opening up panels she couldn't before, so she manages to get the vac suit helmet open, but it's unable to do anything with it as the wire gets fried. She has a little rest and thinks about what she could do. She opens a small panel and climbs the fuck in. She opens a wall box and takes out some kind of microphone or receiver from a radio. And her next problem though is that she can't connect it to the vac suit, so she puts the suit on and heads into the hull interior area of the ship where there's no oxygen when the ship is in flight, so it's not been pressurized. So she heads in and sees more explosive charges along the bulkheads. There's a fucking lot of them. This suit has no oxygen supply, so she can only use whatever air is trapped in the suit when she puts the suit on, and that's why the CO2 levels build up real quick. She cuts a piece of wire that she can use to hook the mic up to her suit, and then tries to transmit. She tries to transmit a new message warning that the ship is rigged to blow, unknowing if anyone will receive it. Meanwhile, Drummer is being distant from her crew. Oksana asks why she is pushing her away and points out that they are still together. At first I thought Drummer is just thinking, bitch, I'm pissed off and I'm allowed to brood in my room, go fuck yourself. But instead she tells her wife that she doesn't know if she can keep going. At dinner, the crew sit in silence, ready to jump down each other's throat at any moment. Joseph finishes off a carton and asks if there's any more before chucking it into the air. Oksana jumps on him and tells him, well, not literally jumps on him, jumps down his throat and tells him he better recycle that, which is true, he bloody better, the fucking tramp. Just throwing rubbish bloody across the ship, you fucking lazy bastard. They snap at each other regarding who is cooking, and Michio, who is just she's just the most adorable belter ever, isn't she, Michio? Look at her with her little mantis hands. I fucking love that chick. She breaks the ice by hoping Serge is being treated well, and Berthold then snaps at her, and then Drummer snaps at him, and then Oksana snaps at her, and yada yada. They're all snapping at each other, jumping down each other's throat, until Joseph accidentally trips and knocks water loose into the air, and then he sucks it out of the air like, yeah, what bitch, and they all start laughing and they all do it together, and it's a really nice moment, showing that despite this moment of tension, they still do love each other and are a family, and it's just like a really nice moment. But after the laughter dies, they go back to their miserable silence. On the Screaming Firehawk, Alex and Bobby are trying to locate the Chetzamoka, but are having no luck. They must have altered course when they spotted the Razorback, they being the Chetzamoka and the Free Navy. Bobby is like, fuck it, I'll check the emergency channels. Maybe any ships the Free Navy attacks on the way will send out some kind of mayday, and then they'll know what direction to head. She does a scan and can't believe her luck when she finds Naomi's message. On the Rossi, we don't hear the message, we just see Naomi, and the Jetsumoka pop up on our screen. And then on the Rocinante, Bull and Holden are scanning the area as well to see if they can spot any of Venaro's ships. They can't tell which of them, the ships they do see, they can't tell which of, sided with Marco, so unfortunately they're going to have to just assume that they all have and tread carefully. Laveau informs Jim that the Razorback has messaged them, and in the message, Alex tells him about Naomi's emergency message, but it's the fake one! No! On Luna, David Pastor is in his office and he is asked to see Delgado privately. He believes Felix did not speak entirely openly in the earlier meeting and asks him to do so now. Felix straight up says he thinks they should blow up Palace Station. He believes it is the appropriate response since the Belt attacked them in their home. Earth should do the same. Except that doesn't make any sense because everywhere in space is the Belt's home. But yeah, so Earth should do the same. They're all going to have blood on their hands by the time this is over, and Felix states that he'd rather have more of theirs than their own. Pastor thanks him for his honesty, and it seems he's been convinced. So, I get where Delgado is coming from about Marco, using his own people as human shields. A great strategy, actually. It seems to be working, but I couldn't disagree more with his resolution. Marco killed innocent people, so we should also kill innocent people too. It's just fucking stupid, that is. On the Chetsumoka, Naomi receives a message from Alex letting her know they are burning toward her now. Naomi is devastated because she can't warn them of the trap. So Naomi Nagata, fucking genius that she is, figures the only way she's going to be able to get a message out is to try and short circuit the fake message, and break down the words. So she dons the vac suit again, heads into the hull. She memorizes the faked message and keeps repeating it to herself, memorizing not just the words, but the flow and speed of the words. This is Naomi Nagata of the Rocinante. If you get this message, please retransmit. Tell James Holden I am in distress. Com is not responding. I have no nav control. Please retransmit. And Naomi has to keep going in and out of the hull in order to find the right wires that will trigger the short circuit, and she keeps a tally of how many times she goes in. By the time the scene ends, she's on 13, but I believe in the book, by the time she finally succeeds in the book, I think she's been there like 70 times, like 70 trips if I remember. It's pretty cray. Drummer and Oksana are on the bridge getting salvage updates from Berthold. Carol comes in and asks how long is left and says after they are done they are to burn for Ceres. Marco suspects the Inners will be moving ships to shut down trade routes. They have orders to join the Serio Mal and Koto and engage any Inner ship they encounter. I smell a battle coming up, perhaps. Drummer doesn't like the sound of that one bit, but grits her teeth and gets on with it. But that's when they receive Naomi's distress call. Joseph plays it aloud for Drummer, who after hearing her friend's situation immediately wants to set a course to help her. But Carol says you can't help her, and Drummer says, "Watch me, bitch!" I love it, I love Drummer. Carol finally tells Drummer the truth, that Naomi was aboard the Pella when she was, and that now she is dead. Well, that's the truth that Carol understands to be. She takes such pleasure in telling Drummer this too, the fucking bitch. She tells her about the fake message to lure the Rocinante to the Chetsumoka and blow it up. Drummer is obviously fuming and goes for Carol, but Oksana stops her from making a rash decision. Drummer instead storms off to her office and starts fucking screaming like crazy. We get a nice little montage of her just going, ah, ah, screaming. It's really great, really emotional, just totally awesome. She's suffered many close losses recently. And now that's the third one in a row, or in the last fucking month or week or however long it's been. And she finally decides to open Ashford's bottle and starts getting mad fucked up. On the Chetsumoka, Naomi finally manages to find the right wall box. She is totally fucking haggard at this point, and the success of finding the right wires gives her that extra little boost she needs to finish the job. So what she does, essentially, as to my understanding, is she short circuits the message at the right time, so that the message is altered roughly to "This is Naomi Nagata of the Rocinante. Tell James Holden I'm in control." And then she rips the wires out so the message stops after playing her altered version, and she manages to get out just in time before she suffocates. And in the final scene of the episode, phew, we made it. Oksana is in the galley having a cuppa when Carol the Cunt, that's her new nickname that I have gifted upon her, Carol the Cunt, walks in. Oksana plays the mediator and apologises for Drummer's temper. Carol says her temper is famous and it was fun to see. Oh, shut the fuck up, man. Drummer would knock you the fuck out, bitch. Oksana tries to connect with Carol and confesses that the new situation has been hard on her family, hoping Carol will be understanding, but Carol, Stone Cold Steve fucking Carroll says they are making it hard on themselves. Drummer is only captain as long as she follows Marco's orders, and she needs to understand that. Oksana says she'll talk to her, she has to get through to her. Then, interestingly, Carol does open up a little bit about her past, particularly regarding Naomi. They used to be closest family as we know. But Naomi stopped believing in what they were fighting for, which is a pretty weird way of saying Marco turned her into a fucking murderer and then stole her son from her. It's a very weird way of saying that. Carol reckons Naomi only ever cared about herself, which we know not to be true if you've, watched The Expanse or read the books or just, have eyes in your fucking head. We've seen her put herself on the line many a time to help others / do the right thing. Anyway, while they talk, we cut to Drummer getting floating in her cabin. So this is why you shouldn't rush your writing, guys. While they talk, we cut to Drummer getting floating. Now we cut to Drummer floating in her cabin with the bottle in her hand. Suddenly, Carol's terminal bleeps and the distress call has stopped when it wasn't supposed to. They listen to the message and now hear the new altered version. Oksana asks if it's possible Naomi's on the ship, but Carol won't believe it. The scene fades into credits with Shorter's uneasy score and Naomi's choppy message still playing over the credits. Awesome sound design / mixing. I really appreciate that ending. Really awesome. And so there is episode 8. Good solid episode. Nothing particularly, massive happened plot-wise, but I'm a firm believer, personally, that not all shows need to provide that every episode. It's a ridiculous ask. I'm just happy to sit back and chill with characters, get to know them better, see the building blocks for what is to come next. I mean, I still want tension and excitement and characterization and stuff, but I don't need rocks thrown at Earth every episode, is my point, This was the longest episode this season at 53 minutes and about 16 scenes, which was fucking hard to fucking get through, I tell you. I liked the Amos and Peaches scenes, as I mentioned, seeing them grow is great. I like Eric, and I like his dynamic with Amos. I find that vastly entertaining. Avasarala's scenes were short, but they did a great job setting up where the UN is going. Something will definitely happen within the next 2 episodes, I think, that she's going to have a problem with. Holden, Bobby and Alex weren't in it much this week, but that's fine. This season has had episodes that excluded some characters, and that's fine. Now, Naomi's scenes were kind of hard to watch. Not because they were bad, but in the same way that, Revenant and fucking Twin Peaks is hard to watch, Her distress was just so intense. And Dom Tipper, as I said, has just killed this season. The writers, once again, treat us like adults and don't over-explain anything they don't need to. The visual storytelling worked really well for me. The sound design and mixing, the constant repetition of the message was almost like Lynchian, and I fucking love that. And good solid episodes. And anyway, time to watch the next one, so I'll see you on the flippity flip.